maybe I could just talk about the general goals. Um, at the beginning, we had very general goals. And so I asked them to really think about setting a goal for every subject. So, because at the beginning it was, I want to get good marks. And I don't know if you find that happens quite a bit, but anyway, so they really had to set a goal. And you can see here that she decided that in reading she wanted to read aloud more often to practice her fluency, and writing she needed to use more descriptive words to captivate. What I was going to do is maybe show an example of one project that we did, because one of the things I wanted to ensure that we do was to take, rather than do just a language arts based file, I wanted to maybe look at a different subject, like for example social studies or science. So basically I took our electricity unit, in which the students were required to produce something using electricity, and build a model, build a model, and then drop a final model, well, create the model, but also draw up a model of it, explaining basically how it works, the science behind it. So I guess I'll show you one of my students' works here. So basically what we were able to do here is my students really went environmental all the way. They, rather than draw up their kind of model and explain the science behind it, many of them use the computer, they use paint to draw up their own model, and they did it that way. So I'm just going to move down to, she's explained in the text basically what they decided to make a steady hand game. So I'll just look at, I'll just show you one of the drawings that they came up with. And so they kind of were explaining how the circuit happened, they drew it out. And this is just a picture of the group that worked on it with their finished product. The thing I enjoy, I thought was great is I was able to save a rubric right on it, so they always had access to what the criteria was for the project. This rubric was adapted from a workshop at CQSB. So basically, they had to do several things for this project. They had to complete a simple light circuit, or in some cases they used buzzers because they were making electrical games. They had to come up with a plan for their final model. They had to, obviously, they always had to revise a plan. There's always glitches that happen. Things don't always work perfectly the first time. And they had to build their final model, and also the marks were also based on their journal entries and how they work in the group. Giving feedback also, I thought, was really a motivational aspect. Particularly what really surprised me is my children that had difficulty really seemed to love reading other people's writing and were inspired, and really took their peers' feedback to heart. And really I could see in some cases they really did make an effort to try to improve and listen to what some of the suggestions of some of the stronger students were. So that I really thought was great. And this year was something, they had something new that I thought was fantastic, and that was the informational videos that you kind of mentioned at the beginning. I found that in that case of being able to, when they were stuck, I could look through their ePEARL, their portfolio, and look at their general goals and say, well, those goals are really too general. And so, like, I wanted to do better. So I would put in the little teacher feedback. I would just write down to maybe perhaps view this informational video and then come talk to me about your general goals. There's potential for a lot more parents becoming involved. Rather than, in our school, we have a portfolio evening once a year. So in this case, they can view their children's work throughout the year. They can become more actively involved. And it's not just a one-day event at the school. So I thought that was also a very positive experience for them as well, to be able, the parents could see how their child was doing throughout the year and have access and leave them positive comments as well. So that was also very good for a positive experience for my students. For next year, there's a lot of things obviously I haven't had a chance to implement, and I've been talking to a few people that obviously have been working on this much longer than I have. But there's a lot of things I haven't even looked at. The learning logs, for example. I'd like to learn how to attach a graded rubric, so hopefully I could find some help from somebody here to do that. And I want to start earlier in the year. This year I didn't start right at the beginning of the year. And I think once you start from day one, it becomes a part of their routine. And that's one thing I would like to change and improve on for next year. I think next year, to start off with, I think I would really, after doing the science and the social studies project, going through all the steps, I really felt that it was an excellent tool for my students, and particularly those that have problems organizing and going through a planning process that I thought was well laid out for you. It's very user-friendly, and anything that requires extra time on a computer, obviously, they were very excited about. So I guess that's it.